Hello there. I am Patriot J, at least for this channel. Now, I'm a YouTuber, have been for a few years, with a channel related to my ministry. I am an ordained minister, by the way. Mark 1615 Ministries. I post a short sermon over there every week. But I'm also a former college tutor, a former high school teacher, a former business executive. Now, this channel comes about because of one of my former high school students who thought that after being forced to retire from teaching because of problems with my lungs, even though I was well past retirement age, I'm 70 years old, okay? But she thought that I should still be teaching. I can't teach full time, but she said, "You're a man of such broad interests and such broad passions. Take those passions, take those interests. I know you're already doing YouTube with your ministry. Do YouTube with some of that." And she caused me, and she's a high school sophomore. I just had her in my class last year, which was my last year. But she challenged me to make a list of 4 or 5 things that I'm really passionate about, and then see about YouTube channels and passing some of that passion along. Okay, so I made my list. I came up with 4 things that are 5 that I'm very passionate about. Starting number 1, and again, remember, I'm an ordained minister. Starting with Jesus. That's the first thing I'm passionate about, because I'm not going to hell thanks to him. So get that right out of the way. Well, I've had that channel for, I think, 3 years now, something like that. Second thing I'm passionate about is my family now. I'm widowed. My youngest child is 50. My youngest grandchild is 22. I have great-grandchildren ranging from elementary school to high school. So they're all old enough, well, except for some of the great-grandkids, and they're young enough I wouldn't want to put them on camera. But my kids, my grandkids, they're old enough that if they want a YouTube channel, they can start their own. So I'm not starting a YouTube channel about my family. But third, 9 years in the Navy. Third was my country. And when I say my country, yes, I mean the United States, but I also, there's some additional bias there. I'm a native Kansan. I'm a graduate of the University of Montana. Spent 18 years in that beautiful state. I spent quite a few years in Texas. And so there may be some bias toward those 3 states at times. But that was one of the things I'm passionate about. That's what this channel is for. Now, I know with it saying Patriot J and the way we get triggered by words, and the word patriot these days tends to trigger people into thinking, oh, we've got another Rush Limbaugh wannabe. Well, I hate to burst your bubble. I'm a proud conservative. Don't get me wrong with that. But I'm not here to share my political opinions. I don't care about your political opinion or mine when we're together here. Here It's about being proud to be Americans. And that doesn't mean being proud because Donald Trump is in the White House, or the MAGA movement is doing this, or the Maha movement is doing that, or BLM is doing something else. I don't care about all that. I mean, I care, but I care in my way and in myself and in my vote. I don't care on this channel. On this channel, and I want to tell you, this channel, besides my student, another inspiration for this channel is two sisters. They're North Korean defectors. I've watched a lot of their videos on their YouTube channels. The Hanaya channel, Hana, and the Ina channel. They live in South Korea, but they've defected from North Korea, but they have visited the United States. And their impressions of America and Americans really inspired me, because we changed their minds, folks. They came expecting ogres and got friendly people. They came expecting all kind of weird stuff and got good food and comfortable hotels and, friendly people and, all this stuff that wasn't expected. That they had been, for most of their lives, brainwashed to believe didn't exist. And I urge you to check out their channels. Oh, they're great. But that's the kind of thing that inspires this channel. What do our visitors and our immigrants think of us? What about the things that we share that make us great? And we can be talking about when SEAL Team 6 went and rescued Jessica Buchanan from, was that Boko Haram or ISIS or one of the terrorist groups over there anyway? They've got so many of them. Al-Shabaab and Boogaloo, and I don't know what all they got over there, but anyhow. That made a lot of Americans very proud. It also surprised the heck out of a lot of non-Americans. I saw a video again on YouTube, a Brit that just couldn't believe we'd do that for one citizen. But that makes us proud. But I'm a rodeo fan, I'm a football fan, and I'll tell you, you see pride at a rodeo when that flag rides into the arena. You see pride. You go to a college, large college, smaller colleges can't get this, but large college or professional football game, and you see the Air Force or the Navy do a flyover during the national anthem or right at the end of it. After 9/11, I was at a game. This is a college game, but it's not a big college, but there's still over 25,000 people in the stands. University of Montana. They're very popular. And the Grizz, I don't even remember who they were playing, but this was not a long time after 9/11. And we stood up for the national anthem. The Big Sky Winds, which is what they called their marching band then, were playing the anthem. I don't believe we had anybody singing it. But I looked around me, and including my own, I don't think of 25,000 plus people in those stands, there was one dry eye. Everybody was just filled with such pride and patriotism. And it was so beautiful. That's what this channel's about. This channel's about the people that smiled at Hannah and Ina when they were sitting in the park in Boston. This channel is about SEAL Team 6 rescuing Jessica Buchanan. This channel is about a flyover, a football game. This channel is about watching rodeo fans stand with all kinds of pride when that flag rides into the arena. This channel is about everyday America. And a lot of times it's going to be about stuff we take for granted. It's going to be about our arguments, not our arguments about politics. Again, I don't care about the arguments about politics, okay? It's not going to be about that, but it will be about some of our arguments. Like the unresolved after over a century argument over which is better, KC barbecue, Texas barbecue, Memphis barbecue, or Carolina barbecue. I grew up on KC barbecue. So, and here again, I may at times mention businesses. If I'm being paid to mention that business, I'll tell you. But generally, I'm not. Generally, if I mention a business, or if I mention a YouTube channel, or if I mention whatever, it's because it means something to me. Just like, okay, I said I grew up on KC barbecue. If I go to Kansas City and I'm there at lunchtime, I'm there at dinner time, because I'm not going to eat barbecue for breakfast. But I love it, but not that much. But if I'm going to be in Kansas City, somehow or other, I'm going to find an excuse to get over near KU Med Center. Not because I love KU Med Center, that's actually where my wife died. But because near KU Med Center is Rosedale Barbecue. Oh, I love that place. That was where my wife learned about KC barbecue. And it's KC barbecue all the way, folks, let me tell you. So, but if I make a mention like that, like I just did of Rosedale isn't giving me a cent, didn't know I was going to say that. But I'm a satisfied customer. Okay? And by the way, while I'm wearing a KU Jayhawks t-shirt, yes, I'm also a K-State Wildcats fan. I'm also a Fort Hays State Tigers fan. I'm also a Pittsburgh State Gorillas fan. I'm also a Wichita State Shockers fan, but they don't have football. Why, I don't know. They could always bring it back in the FCS level. They don't have to be BCS like KU and K-State. Not everything about Wichita State has to be like KU and K-State. Bit of my opinion. Okay? But while I'm not really a big basketball fan, Shocker basketball is an experience. An even bigger experience, though, for basketball fans is found in the hills of Lawrence, Kansas, in a building called Fog Allen Fieldhouse, where you can watch KU basketball, which wins a lot more than they lose. And the coach being Bill Self, you'll see a lot of people wearing t-shirts saying things like, I love myself. But there's a gap there between my and self because I mean Bill. But there is a chant that is, again, over a century old, that you will hear in Fog Allen Fieldhouse, that you can hear it in Memorial Stadium too when the Jayhawk football team's playing, but it's not the same. There's nothing like it in Allen Fieldhouse. and that's that rock chalk chant. And I can't do it that well, and I'm not going to try to do it here, but you can find videos of it on YouTube. Now, those videos don't do it justice for what you'd hear if you were actually in Allen Fieldhouse, any more than watching the Chiefs on TV. And I've been a Chiefs fan since before there were Chiefs, so let's get with that too. Any more than being a Chiefs fan, and watching the Chiefs on TV would give you a sense of how loud it actually gets in Arrowhead Stadium. Which, Arrowhead is the loudest place I've ever gone to a game, second loudest. Washington Grizzly Stadium, where the Montana Grizz play. 25,000 people in there can make enough noise to cover 100,000 because they've got a little help. Mount Sentinel and Mount Jumbo and Hellgate Canyon echoing. Aber Hall echoing. It's incredible. Dahlberg Arena echoing. All this is close by and causes an echo chamber in Washington Grizz that is like nothing else. That's another experience. And if you've got stuff on your bucket list to see, I know it's considered, it's FCS, it's considered smaller college, still Division I, but smaller college football. But you have never had an experience like that. And to borrow from Justin Wilson, the old Cajun cook from PBS years ago, it's like nothing you ever see before again in your life. I guarantee. But that's what this channel's about. This channel is about pride. It's about sometimes things we take for granted, sometimes things we don't even think about anymore. But first and foremost, and always, it's about America. It's about being Americans. It's about how people respond to America and to Americans. It's about the things that I don't care who you are. If you're an American, you can be proud of it. If you're from another country, you can be comforted to know that there is an America in the world. You can be maybe a little envious. Sometimes people are, because they see us having rights that they don't have. They see us doing things they wish they had the freedom to do. And if that's your case, fine. You want to be envious? Envious. You want to be glad we exist? Be glad we exist. And a little something for those of you that live in other countries, though, that might run across this channel and might decide, hey, why couldn't I have been born an American? Because you don't have to be born an American. America is not like any other country. My sister-in-law was born German. And I love the woman. I love her to death. She's been with my brother for, Lord, I don't know, forever. And they make a heck of a couple. But she's German. She's also American, though, because she came here. She got naturalized. She became a citizen. She got some professional licensing of some kind, I think, having to do with veterinary medicine, not as a DVM, but which I have a cousin who's a DVM, but as a veterinary assistant, something of that nature. And I don't know how Texas treats that, and that's where they live. But she became part of the American dream. And while she still can speak fluent German, she still thinks of herself, I think, at times, as a German native. That's German native, but American citizen. And it's something to be proud of, folks. But those of you that might be in other countries that you might feel a little envy at some of the things we have that you don't, or you might be thinking, why couldn't I have been born an American? You don't have to be born American. If you want this dream, now being a conservative, I'm going to say, don't try sneaking it. Because sooner or later, with changes in politics in Washington and whatnot, they're going to come knocking at the door and send you back where you came from. But if you come here the right way, you get the visa, you get the green card after you get here, you get the work permit, you apply to become a citizen, you learn the language if you don't already know it. You'll learn some about our history and our government and before you're allowed to become a citizen, but do that. Come be an American. Don't come be somebody living in America, but not really partaking, not able to partake. If you're here illegally, you can't. There's so many things you can't do because you can't afford to get busted or you'll get sent back. Especially right now because we have a very strict anti-illegal immigration policy out of Washington. But you are welcome here if you come in the right way and if what you want is to be one of us. Now that doesn't mean you have to give up your culture. It doesn't mean you have to change your race. It doesn't mean a thing except becoming one of us, and that's not that hard to do. And we welcome you. We welcome you because we want anything that will help build this country. And I don't care about your culture. I know Filipinos, I know Japanese people, I know Koreans. My ex-son-in-law was Korean, well, half Korean. His mother was born in Korea. His dad was born in the United States. I know Mexicans, I know Cubans, I know Panamanians. I know people from all over the world that have become Americans. And they love it here. They wouldn't give up. Well, they go home and see family, things like that. But they love it here. They're part of it. And we welcome them. We want them here. And the same goes for you. So enjoy this channel. I've been talking longer than I intended to. Enjoy this channel. I can't tell you when videos will come up, but as something happens that inspires me, I'll be putting them up, so you might want to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when lazy old me puts something up worth seeing.